Talking of pyramids, dude, this new pyramid shit that's just come out.
Oh, this is insane. So apparently, through the use of LiDAR, they have discovered that there are enormous structures underneath the Great Pyramid that go kilometers deep into the earth with coils. So enormous pillars, and then these coils. They don't understand what it is because they're just looking at LiDAR images. But whatever this is a uniform structure. There's several pillars, and all of this is like very, very, very weird.
Yeah, it's 600 meters descending down those cylinders, and then there's more stuff below it, and then there's additional structures inside of it. Yeah, that was crazy.
It's really crazy. There's a guy, Jay Anderson, and he did a breakdown of it. Maybe this would be good. We could play this.
What has just been announced in relation to the pyramids at the Giza Plateau and the plateau itself is so incredible, so awe-inspiring and narrative-shattering that I have been sitting here for the last hour trying to wrap my head around the implications of what we were just told. So this is pretty much breaking news because the new findings were announced on the 16th of March at a press conference held by the team who were studying the Great Pyramid of Giza with a non-invasive technology that was first developed by Filippo Bionde and Corrado Malanga called synthetic aperture radar Doppler tomography.
Fuck, that's a mouthful.
This was used to explore the internal structure
talk.
of the Great Pyramid of Giza. And this method leverages the analysis of micro movements typically generated by background seismic activity to achieve a high resolution full 3D tomographic imagery of the pyramid's interior and subsurface components. The recent findings from deploying this technology are nothing short of mind-blowing, because what's been discovered is that there are huge structures coming down from the base of the pyramid deep into the bedrock, in fact over 600 meters deep, which then connects to structures that extend up to 2 kilometers below the surface of the ground. 2 kilometers. Massive internal structures connected to the base of the pyramid and extending deep, deep down. This is what we know so far.
Zahi Hawass is the head of antiquities in Egypt. He's like the head guy that talks to the archaeologists and gives the official narrative. In the past, he's been extremely hostile to Graham Hancock, but Graham Hancock and him have now become friends.
Oh, yes. I do know this guy.
Coordinating. Graham is a lovely guy. Just to see, okay, this is the guy, this is this closed-minded fellow that's been in charge of gatekeeping all of the knowledge about
and
Egypt.
Still standing on the same ideas, even after this LiDAR comes out.
The tomography, whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
That stuff's fascinating. Because I've been, even after that podcast, I've been watching more videos with those Italian scientists describing it. They've used it to, and this is one of the things that I brought up, one of the temples that they scanned with this was very accurate. And he's like, but this was only 50 feet down. Like, yeah, okay, right, but it works. Like, at 50 feet down, you get an accurate representation of what's inside there, and he was the one, Zahi, supposedly, discovered it. But he's discovered everything, basically.
Yeah.
So how do you...
Genius.
He's the best.
I went there last July.
Did you?
June.
How was it?
Incredible. Yeah, it was incredible.
Did you walk away thinking immediately, there's a lot we don't know?
100%. Yeah. And what they tell you is complete bullshit.
Yeah. I have a friend who went there, and the archaeologist that showed him it said, this is complete bullshit. Like, the narrative is complete bullshit. Yeah. He said, the scale of it, he said the scale of it and the technology involved in construction is beyond our current understanding of how to do this.
And it's not just the pyramids and the Sphinx.
No.
The other temples are magnificent.
Not only that, there's probably a bunch of shit under the ground.
I know. That's what I wanted to go see. But the cool thing was the first temple I went in was what I'd seen on Ancient Aliens, where at the very top of the temple you have one of the most famous hieroglyphs, which has a spaceship, a helicopter, and a submarine up there. As clear as you can possibly imagine. And
Show that.
What the fuck is that? How in the... What is that? Explain that, please. Because that looks like a spaceship, that looks like a submarine, and that 100% looks like a helicopter.
So weird. Egypt is the weirdest place on earth. It really is.
But that's why it needs to be...
Yeah.
What the hell is underneath it?
Well, I think That one.
That one right there?
Yeah. I mean,
what are we talking about?
Come on. That's so crazy.
That's a spaceship or a fighter jet.
Some kind of a...
That's a submarine.
It looks like a yacht. It looks
Or-
like one of them
it's a
oligarch
boat,
yachts
yeah.
that they keep getting
But that's
impounded.
that's a helicopter.
It looks like a
I mean, come
helicopter
on,
to
what are we
me.
doing?
It looks just like a helicopter.
Yeah, that was the first
if it's
place I
not a helicopter, what a goddamn
What is it?
coincidence.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a bunch of weird stuff there. A bunch of weird images. And how about that one plane that they found that was inside? They found like a wooden plane
Yep.
that was inside one of the chambers.
That's totally normal.
Yeah.
We just buried there with the
That was the other thing that Zahi was unwilling to entertain was this King's List. This Zepteki King's List that goes back 30,000 plus years.
Yes.
They all want to pretend that that's a myth, that all the other hieroglyphs are legitimately documenting the history of the region. But when
But
it
not
gets
that one.
past the narrative, these 30,000-year-old kings, that place has probably been there for a long fucking time,
Yeah, probably hundreds of thousands of years.
which is so crazy.
And it's probably built on other stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the other thing about the base of the pyramids. Is like you have to realize like there's a base there before they put the pyramids up. They put this insane base. And if what they're saying is accurate with these readings, that there's a structure that goes under the ground 2 kilometers, like
Yeah, what is that?
if they can find that, then you have to throw everything out the window.
But aren't you with me? Like, why are we not interested in that?
Well, we are.
But why are we? Why is modern archaeology not going? Yeah, let's fucking figure this shit out.
Because modern archaeology forever has been saying that we have the answers, that we have the timeline. We know when Khufu built this. We know when Khafre built this. We know who did this. And they're not correct. It's not accurate. It's too weird. There's no way you have all the information. Also, where'd everybody go? Like, there's people living there, but it's clearly not the same civilization. So what happened to this insane civilization? If there wasn't a collapse of society at an immense level, if there wasn't some sort of a civilization-destroying event,
Yeah.
then
Younger
where did
Dryas, yeah.
what happened?
How about this idea? We got a new pope.
Mm-hmm.
He's from the States.
From Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's open up the Library of the Vatican.
Good luck. Good luck doing that. There's so many mysteries to it. For anybody to pretend that they have all the answers to something as perplexing as Egypt.
I think
It's nuts.
this is an area where I often get criticized, but I think when we look at a civilization and what it is and what it's achieving and why it's so special, when we look at our civilization today, we are fantastic at technology. We are brilliant at science. We can make the best possible machines. And we're a society that is built around production and consumption, and a society in which people define themselves in terms of what they own, and what they possess, and what they produce. And it becomes a very materialistic society, a society that's focused on material things, where we define ourselves by our material possessions. Ancient Egypt had a totally different focus. Yeah, they were great at making material things, but that was secondary. Their main thing was, what are we here for? Why are we living this life? What happens to us when we die? They investigated that mystery more deeply than any other culture that I know of, and they were doing so right from the beginning of records.
And they
in ancient
were
Egypt.
documenting this journey to the afterlife
Absolutely.
in hieroglyphs. And it's like, what were you documenting? Like, how do you know? Like, what were you trying? How did everyone agree on this particular myth or this story?
Unless there was some experience being brought to bear in it. It's one of the things that we point out in season 2 is that the ancient Egyptian notion of a leap to the sky after death, to the Milky Way, of a journey along the Milky Way, of encountering challenges and dangers and risks there, monsters that would block your path, gates that you had to know the password to get through. That idea is found all over the world. The path of souls. It's found all over the Americas. That
What do you think that they're trying to say?
Well, I think first of all it's evidence of a remote common origin of this idea. It's when it's found amongst cultures all around the world that apparently had no contact with one another and are often separated by hundreds or thousands of years. The same idea is found about what happens to us after death. The only reasonable explanation I can come up with is that they've all inherited this idea and then developed it in their own ways from a remote common source. And that's one of the main reasons that I'm curious about the possibility of a lost civilization, that these spiritual ideas are found all around the world. And they involve the journey of the soul after death and a leap to the heavens. And sometimes it's called an underworld, but really it's set in the sky. And this journey that takes place where you are judged on what you've done with your life. This is something else that we avoid in the world today, is taking responsibility for our own lives. The ancient Egyptians required you to take responsibility for your life. And if you did not do so, the outcome after death would not be good. You had to celebrate the gift of life. You had to realize the incredible gift that you had been given. And one of the opportunities of that gift is the opportunity to accumulate wisdom. And that's one of the things, hopefully, that we all do as we get older, is get a bit more wisdom and a bit more understanding. But in the case of ancient Egypt, that idea is developed over 3,000 years. And it's essentially the same at the beginning as it is at the end. That the soul, that death is not the end. This is the conclusion of a society that put its best minds at work for 3,000 years on this problem. The death is not the end. We may think it is. Scientists may tell us it is. But when a scientist says death is the end, there's nothing more, we're just physical bodies, and when the light goes out, it goes out forever, that's actually not a scientific fact. That's not something that's been investigated or can be investigated.
Consciousness itself is so confusing. Just consciousness, just like what is it? Why are we conscious? What is it local, or are we tuning into consciousness? And when you die, where's that go? Where's that energy go? Is the soul a real thing? Like, what is the essence of life? What is the essence of human life and human consciousness? Those are perplexing questions.
They're very perplexing questions, which actually are of great significance to every one of us. Yeah, I mean, suppose death just is the end. Then that's a way not to have to take too much responsibility for our lives, for the impact that we've had on others, for the pain that we may have caused, or for the joy that we may have caused. If death's the end, there's no up or downside to that, whatever we do. But from the ancient Egyptian point of view, death's not the end, and you have been given the precious gift of life. What did you do with it? And there are moral aspects to that question. There's these 42 assessors, they're called the negative assessors, who ask the soul of the deceased questions about what they did in life. And those are all moral questions. They bear some relationship actually to the Ten Commandments. But there's another question, which is called the weighing of words. And that question is, what did you do with the gift we gave you? We gave you the gift of the human life. We gave you the gift of the opportunity to love or to hate, at your choice. We gave you the gift to live in a human body, to have this incredible consciousness, to be able to integrate all kinds of information from all kinds of spheres. What did you do with it? Did you leave the world a better place or a worse place than when you came into it? Did you hurt and damage and cause pain to others consistently out of wicked intent, not accidentally but deliberately causing pain? And there are human beings who do that. For the ancient Egyptians, that kind of behavior meant an introduction to Amit, the eater of the dead. And Amit is displayed in the judgment scene. He's a creature, part hyena, part lion, and he sits there, and certain souls do not go on. Their journey ends, and it ends because of the choices they made during life, and because they never took responsibility for what they did.
Well, it kind of makes sense. A natural selection of the souls.